My name is Justin, and I am a son of God and an addict, and the host of the RICO 12 speaker meeting. And thanks to my God, the steps, and the fellowship of other addicts, I am sober one day at a time since June 19th, 2015, and for that, I am beyond grateful. Welcome to RICO 12. We are an organization whose addictions include alcohol, drugs, lust, and sex, food, and gambling, just to name a few. We come together from all places, faiths, and backgrounds to learn the similarities of addiction and to gain tools and hope from others who are walking a similar path. We invite recovering addicts with at least 1 year sobriety and who are actively working their recovery in their respective fellowships to share their experience, strength, and hope on a live Zoom webinar, typically each Friday at noon Central Time for 20 to 25 minutes. Then we, the live audience, get the opportunity to ask questions of the speaker for another 20 to 25 minutes. This week, and a few other weeks during the summer, we are pre-recording the meeting as I will be on the road during those Fridays. If you are hearing this meeting in recorded podcast form and would like to participate as a live audience member in the future, please go to RICO12.com, that's RECO12.com, and submit your email address there to receive weekly invitations. RICO 12 is a self-supporting service, and we really appreciate your help in keeping us working our 12th step in this manner. We gratefully accept contributions to help cover the cost of the Zoom platform, podcast platform, web hosting, and administrative costs. To contribute, you can go to RICO12.com/support, or you can click the link to PayPal that will be in the chat of this meeting here in a few minutes, or in the show notes of the meeting if you're listening in a podcast format. When you contribute, please specify the meeting number. This is meeting number 60. It's a nice round number. I'm excited to be moving forward in these meetings. It's really, really fun. Last week's meeting was with Michael Brody Waite, and his message on the benefits of living all aspects of life like an addict working recovery was really powerful. I really loved it, and the feedback has been very strong. If you missed that meeting or any of the previous 59 meetings we have done, you can get caught up by searching for and subscribing to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. And while you're there, rate and review us. It really does help us continue to work our 12th step and get the word out, the message out to others. One more word about our speakers before we introduce today's speaker. When we line up a speaker for a meeting, we ask them to seek guidance on what and how to present so that they can reflect the light that they have been given. That light will inspire hope, meaning, worth, and growth in us, the listening audience. Now let's introduce today's speaker, Tamar O, who will be sharing her experience, strength, and hope on the topic of how I got the life I never knew I was missing. Now here's a little bit of info on Tamar. Tamar is a grateful member of Al-Anon, SLAA, and CODA, and has been actively working the 12 steps through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. Coming from a hopeless state of mind, Tamar gained a new joyous outlook on life through step work every single day. She came to understand the meaning of serenity, happiness, and emotional freedom, which were previously foreign. Tamar is passionate about sponsorship and uses her past as a tool to build awareness, serenity, self-love, and connection to a higher power. Take it away, Tamar. We're excited about this. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Justin. Hi, everybody. I'm Tamar, grateful member of Al-Anon, SLA, and CODA, and I am just so grateful to be here today to be sharing. And if you would have told me a year ago that I would be speaking at a live meeting and it would be recorded, I would have laughed, and then I also would have just said no. So today, going out of my comfort zone, that's the miracles that the program has given me. All of these programs, to show up as my best self, to be helpful, and just to be confident, and to have all these tools. So most of the time. So again, I'm just so grateful. And if I'm just going out of my comfort zone, I just hope that it helps one person to make it all worth it. So I hope something I say today will help someone who is going through a hardship, just to give them a little bit of hope and strength to keep going. And like we love to say in Al-Anon, do not leave before the miracle happens. So the miracles do happen. Just stay close. And I just want to give a brief description of what my life was like before coming into program. if anybody who's been on this meeting before or who's heard me speak, I was the crazy person, and this actually happened to me. I was a crazy person who fell off of a jet ski and was thrashing while I was wearing my life vest, just thrashing around, yelling and screaming because in the water, I was so scared that I was going to die. I was scared of a fish touching me. I was scared that I wouldn't be able to get back. I was going to drown. Something, everything bad, anything and everything bad would happen to me. But what I didn't realize, if I would have just stopped thrashing, put my feet down, I would be standing. My feet can touch the ground. It was very low waters. So that's the analogy I like to give of myself before program, that I was running around like a crazy person in survival mode, trying to just grasp onto anything to hold on to give me some sense of security. But really, all I had to do was put that in God's hands, to just stand up, to just do what I needed to and stop trying so hard to control everyone around me, to control my life, and to control myself. And then I would be okay. So, some of the things that I tried, which I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, I tried going to therapy, weekly therapy, paying out of pocket, getting a puppy, yoga, keeping myself busy, AKA distracting myself with friends so that I wouldn't have to go internally, getting a doctorate degree, but my main drug of choice to numb myself, to numb my feelings and my thoughts was serial monogamy. I went from guy to guy, always being in a relationship, just so I felt okay. I could feel successful. And if I'm successful, then I'm okay. Then I'm doing life right. But I never once stopped from that survival mode and paused and gave my nervous system a break. And that happened for 28 years until I found Al Anon. And then when I did go into the rooms, I sat in Al Anon silently for a full year, just taking in all the shares. And I did learn so many basics of how to just pause a little bit or how to, get through my day. So my life became more manageable. But I didn't grasp how amazing life could be. I didn't grasp the actual bigger concepts of the program. And I was able to do my daily tasks and slow down, but that's it. So I thought I was happy. And if anyone would ask me, are you happy? I would say, yeah, I was successful in my own terms and outwardly, and I had everything I wanted. But that was all externally. So on the inside, if you looked inside of my brain, it was complete chaos. And the reason why I know this is because if something didn't go my way, or if I didn't get a text back from the person who I was codependent with at the time, everything went completely out of the window. Everything that I learned in my Al Anon program, because I was just silently there, I wasn't working a program, I was just going to meetings. Everything there went completely out of the window, and I was back to square one. And it's because I wasn't connecting with a higher power in the program. I was just listening to people's shares and taking bits and pieces. So again, I was holding on to that control of life and not abandoning myself, not giving myself to God. So I wasn't willing to. I wasn't willing to give it up. That sounded so scary to me that I had to give up control. But then how would I survive? Because I grew up in this survival mode. So today I describe my main affliction. My main thing why I come to program every single day is as a thinking addiction. So my life looks manageable, but when I look at step one and I look, what am I powerless over and what is my unmanageability? It's my thoughts. So I compare myself to an alcoholic, and I can drink a drink and stop there, but I can't take a thought and stop there. I have to keep going. My thoughts go on a rampage. I can go from 1 to 100 in a half of a second of every wrong scenario that could happen and how I need to survive again. So just like the alcoholic cannot take that first shot, I cannot take the first thought. So my daily reprieve in my program means that I'm constantly course correcting my thinking. I constantly have to, okay, I took a first thought, now stop. Go back to regular daily life. So I really want to talk today about how my discovery of the step work actually changed my views and basically how I live the steps every single day. And that's how I was able to learn what serenity means, what peace means, what happiness, what joy, right? Because in the big book it says, we are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. And if I'm really sure about that, then I need to stop making my own misery in my head. So in step 1, I'll just read it quickly. We admitted that we were powerless over alcohol, over thinking, over acting out, sex, love. We're powerless. So for each person, I always put in there, what am I powerless over? So for me, it's my thinking. I'm powerless over thinking, and that my life had become unmanageable. Unmanageable is my life and my thoughts, my everyday thinking. So how am I going to make sure that my life becomes manageable? Is by stopping to try to control everything, and by 3 simple things. By having, it's called the how of the program: honesty. I have to be honest with myself. I have to be open-minded, that I don't know everything, that there's always more to learn, and the willingness. So the willingness to show up, to do the work. And that means stop doing all the things that I want to do and start doing all the things that are hard. So that's my step 1 in a nutshell. Every morning saying, I can't do this alone. Every single morning. So steps 1 through 3, I can't, God can. So I have to let God. So my step 2, where it came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, this is a process. This looks different to me every single day. Every day, my step 2 is different. So part of that can be going internally and finding God, going outside and connecting with nature. Every day it's going to look different, but I have to find somewhere, something every single day to believe that God is going to restore me to sanity every single day. Even if something bad goes wrong, I can reset. I can reset my day at any time. So, and my favorite thing about step 2 is meditation, going deep inside to learn. That's where God can be found, in my intuition. So God is controlling all of it. So step 3, made a decision to turn my will, my thinking, and my life, my actions over to the care of God as we understood God. Right there. All I have to do is say, this is God's world. This is not my world. So my mind is a liar. My mind wants to tell me, keep going to survival mode. You need to keep going to survival mode. Otherwise, you won't survive. But when I put that care in God's hands, I don't have to. I can fire myself and hire God. God is now the employer, and I just have to be an employee. I get a daily task, a list of daily tasks, and I just have to do them. That's it. So when I actually start my day saying, I can't, God can, so I will let him. And I say and for me, God is a him, but whatever, you connect with, it could be the universe, it could be anything. But that's just when I actually say, I'm going to let God just do it. I say the step 3 prayer and I ask, what can I do today? How can I be helpful? How can I live by these spiritual principles that I really, really want to? Every single morning, then I get my daily task list handed to me. And part of that for me is making an actual daily list of what do I need to do today. And then I get my promises that I'm less and less interested in myself, in my plans. What do I want to do? I get less interested in that. And I'm able to just enjoy peace of mind. I don't have to be in survival mode anymore. So then I go to step 4, which I do every single night. In my step 10, I make a searching and fearless moral inventory of myself. No reservations. I do a full house cleaning and I take the bag of garbage out to the dumpster. I don't want it anymore. I don't want it sitting by my door, that bag of garbage that I just cleaned out my closet. I want everything clean. I want to have a clean slate so I can sleep, so I could show up as my best self, so I can be in intimate relationships, friendships, family relationships, everything. And that's the only way I'll do it is if I'm really in step 1, if I'm honest with myself, if I'm honest with other people. So I have to look at where's my pride? Where's my self-centeredness? Am I really caring or am I trying to get something out of being caring and helpful? Am I really going to be happy with this, or am I just jealous, right? Am I saying, "Oh, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations." Or am I jealousy? Am I jealous and thinking, "I wish I had that"? Am I being critical? Am I gossiping? Am I impatient? Am I intolerant? All day, did I have anger? Did I do things like a sloth? Could I have done more? Was I honest? Was I honest with myself? Was I in self-pity? Where was my ego? And I have to look at those every single day. And the good thing about step 4 tells me is that when the spiritual malady is overcome, I can straighten out mentally and physically. Meaning, when I start connecting and living not in my will, not in all those character defects that I just said, when I start living in God's will, like in step 3, when I ask God for my task list for the day, then I can straighten out mentally. My mind isn't going nutso anymore. My mind is straight. And if I showed somebody my little step 4 list and said, "Hey, look, this is me. I have false pride. I'm jealous. I'm a sloth and I like to procrastinate. And I also have hate and anger and I have a fear of everything." Nobody's going to want to hire me. Nobody's going to want to be my friend. Nobody's going to want to be around me, be my mother, be my kid, be my sister. Nobody's going to want to be around me. I don't want to be around myself if I showed everybody. So I need to take everything, all of my character defects every single day, and I need to go and do the opposite. And I don't just say, "Oh, okay, so today I had hate, so tomorrow I'm going to be forgiving and loving." No, what does that look like? What does forgiveness and love look like in my life? If I'm going to say that I'm doing it, I need to actually do it. I need to not say words that I'm going to do. I need to put an action to that. So every night in my step 10, I have to do that. How am I going to be patient? How am I going to be loving? Am I going to go bring that person who I was rude to yesterday? I'm going to go bring them a coffee. Am I going to do a favor for them just to help their day get a little better? Am I going to be generous with my listening, generous with my time? Am I going to, if I was procrastinated the day before, am I going to be procrastinating tomorrow, or am I going to make a plan to follow for the next day? So every day I'm looking at what did I do before and how can I make it better tomorrow with an action? And then I get my step 5 promises. When I give over all of these things, and in step 5, I missed that one where it says, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So when I do that, I'm able to course correct, look at what I have to do next. And then I can give that resume, then I can give that whole list of things and say, "This is who I am as a person. This is who I'm showing up as a person. Do you want to be around me now?" Everyone's going to want to be around me. I'm going to want to be around myself. And I love this step 5 promise where it says, we can look at the world in the eye. Because for me, I can look myself in the mirror and know that I was the best version of myself today. I can look myself in the mirror and say, "Yes, you did something right." In the past, I couldn't look myself in the mirror because I just kept living in survival mode and I didn't know who I was. I didn't know that person. There was a disconnection. And now I can look the whole entire world in the eye, but I can also be alone at perfect peace and ease, and my fears fall from me. And those are all miracles and promises that I've experienced in being in the program. Step 6 tells me we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. What does that even mean? It means I have to stop. I need to stop doing all of those things that I mentioned, all of those character defects. Just stop. And I know it's so much easier said than done, but that's why we have a higher power to turn to. We have a higher power to say, "I want you to take this away from me. I don't want it. I need that willingness. Take it from me. Help me stop." So that's why I make a list of what are the things I'm going to do to correct that. So step 7, humbly ask God to remove our shortcomings. Don't just remove them, replace them with the opposite. Replace them with the opposite of every shortcoming, and then start doing all those things that are hard to do. Even if it's the tiniest thing, do the next right thing. Maybe you can't trust somebody again. Maybe you can't love somebody the way that you want to. Start saying a prayer. Page 552 in the big book, the resentment prayer, understanding people. saying that prayer really opens up your eyes, at least for myself, I can speak for. When I start saying the resentment prayer for someone who I have a big resentment to, that's when I'm able to actually understand somebody. I'm praying for them each time and start saying, I want them to have everything I want for myself. Because there's lots of things I want. Now I want that other person to have that. And I start seeing the other person as a child of God. They're equal to me. Maybe they upset me, but my all of that resentment, all of that anger, that just goes away. So my first thing when I'm starting to learn how to trust somebody, learn how to love somebody, how to be tolerant, I start praying for them. And it sounds so counterproductive, but like it says in the big book, do it for 2 weeks and you'll see the difference. Every day, pray for that person that you hate every day. And I've seen it with my biggest number one resentment. Okay, and then we'll go to step 8. So I made a list of all persons that we harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. And I'll just mix that in with step 9. Made direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So I'm not just saying I'm sorry. I'm not making this list and then saying, I'm sorry. That doesn't mean anything. Showing somebody that you changed. And that doesn't mean groveling at their feet. That just means showing up as your best self and showing people that you're able to show up as your best self, that you're able to be loving and understanding and tolerant and patient and generous with your time and with your listening. And try to get to understand other people and how you showed up for them in the past. And that's how you're going to change, to show people, I actually am sorry. I'm actually making this living amends. I'm not just saying I'm sorry, because I'm sorry means nothing. That's one of my worst words in the whole entire dictionary. It means nothing without the action. It's an action word. So some of the step 9 promises that you get once you have that weight lifted off of you, once you start living and showing people and proving to them that you're no longer that person anymore who's hurt them. Then step 9 promises is that we know a new freedom and a new happiness. And that's all we want. We don't want those shackles anymore. We want to be free. And we will not regret the past, nor do we wish to shut the door on it. And this is my favorite part. The thing that gives me so much purpose today is sponsorship. My past is my greatest asset now. I'm able to give over my message to people. I'm able to help them see that there is hope, and all the people who want to kill themselves because it's just unbearable. The pain of addiction in any form, whether it's thinking, drugs, alcohol, love, sex, whatever it is, it's so painful. It's the worst pain in the world because you can't get out of it until you have this psychic change. So I'm just so grateful that the step 9 promise came true for me. And it gives me purpose every single day that I'm able to help people. So this is also a favorite line of mine. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. And that's exactly what I said before, how it could benefit others. We give them the hope. And the feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. Now, when I'm having a hard day, I go work with another addict. I go meet with a newcomer. I tell people there is hope. And my uselessness that I felt and my self-pity literally disappears. It's gone. And then moving to step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Continued. This is my process. This is for a lifetime. And the word when we were wrong, not if, right? We are going to be wrong. So what are we going to do about it? We have to promptly admit it in our step 10 inventory every night. Every night I go through a checklist of where was I wrong? What can I do better? And what I also love to be easy on myself. What did I do right today? What was great? What can I continue on for tomorrow? What am I grateful for? And then I get to go to bed with a full heart because I have a little group of people who we send each other our step 10 and our gratitude list right when I'm in bed. A full heart. I just get to think of all the things I'm grateful for and hear all the things they're grateful for with lots of hearts and emojis. That's how I go to bed every single night. And I encourage anybody who is new or anybody who's doing their step 10 alone to connect with people in the program and reach out to people and message them every single night your gratitude list and your personal inventory, bad and good. Do that every night and you won't go to bed with that crazy mind, that crazy thinking mind. Step 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve, to get better, or to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood God, praying only for knowledge of God's will for us and the power to carry that out. Improve means we don't go to the gym one time and we see that bicep muscle getting bigger and then we're like, oh, okay, cool, I'm done at the gym. No, we have to keep going back if we want to keep that muscle there. Otherwise, use it or lose it. Same thing with our connection with God, our connection with the program, our connection with the universe. We need to improve it every single day if we want to keep it. So whether that's through prayer, meditation, just really, really connecting with your God, whether that's silently writing things, journaling, whatever it takes to connect and improve every single day. And that's sometimes minute by minute, and sometimes that's hour by hour, and sometimes that's day by day. But every single day, have some sort of building your connection. And one of the promises in step 11 is that we get to pause. We go through our day pausing. That pause land, anyone who's in any of the fellowships that I go to, that trademarked pause land, that's the best place ever. You can make this beautiful place in your head and you can go there and have serenity anytime you want. You don't have to go on a vacation to Cancun or to Greece. You can literally go in your head and just feel that pause land, that serenity. And you don't just pause. You also pause and count your blessings. That gratitude, that obsessing about gratitude, that's what's going to get you to your happy place. And when you don't know what to do and you're doubtful, pause and ask God, what should I do? And your intuition, that gut feeling, is going to tell you what your next step is. And then step 12, having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other alcoholics, addicts, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs, whether that's with the cashier, with your mom, with your spouse, or with your puppy. All the principles, patience, tolerance, and with yourself, everyone. And that spiritual awakening is something that's going to be happening all the time. These spiritual experiences, all of these little spiritual experiences are going to build that spiritual awakening. So that's how I live my steps every day. So grateful for this program. And I do want to say that I've been working program total for a little over 2 years, and my pink cloud went away, which means I'm going to have ups and downs. I don't sound like this 24/7 on my spiritual hilltop. I don't. But what I do know is that every time I have a down, I can take it as a learning opportunity and capitalize on it and really go deep and think, what can I learn from this? How will that affect me tomorrow? How will that make it better? And page 417, I have a couple more minutes, right? Yes. Okay. Page 417 of the big book. I'm going to just read that. That's how I get back to my cloud, my pink cloud. That's how I can get it again and again and again, as many times as I want. When I stopped living in the problem, I began living in the answer and began living in the answer. The problem went away. It does go away. It goes away as soon as you start living in the solution. And acceptance is the answer to all of my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me. And I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at that moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. And if I think it's a mistake, I'm in Tamar's world. I'm not in God's world. So understanding something that I heard yesterday is if you're on your timing and you're not on God's timing, and you're just like, I need that $1,000,000 right now. What if you got that $1,000,000 and you put it in a really bad investment and it just was gone the next day? Or what if God said to you, I need you to wait 5 years, learn how to invest, and then I'll give you $1,000,000. And then you can make your million into 5 million. Same thing with relationships. What if you're like, I am on my timing. I need right now. I need, right? I need a spouse right now. I want to have babies. My clock is ticking. Let's go, right? What if God is saying, if you got married right now, you would become a single parent or you would lose your spouse. But wait 5 years, build up your character assets, build up how to be a good parent, build up how to be a good person, how to show up as the best partner. And then you can have it. And then you'll have a successful, beautiful family and marriage. So this can relate to anything, the body you want, the relationships, the job, the money, anything. Being on God's timing, having that faith, and really making the best out of the time that you're waiting. And then just one quick thing is on page 419, you get to choose your day every single day. When I focus on what's good today, I have a good day. And when I focus on what's bad, I have a bad day. If I focus on a problem, the problem increases. If I focus on the answer increases. Right there, you get to literally choose your day every single day if you want to have a good day or if you want to have a bad day. And thank you so much for letting me share and for giving me this opportunity. And I'm just so grateful for all the miracles that I see in my daily life every day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tamar. Very good. I really enjoyed following along the steps with you and your own experience, strength, and hope. A reminder to our live audience, if you have a question for Tamar, please type it in the Q&A link at the bottom of your window. It looks like two speech bubbles over the top of each other. Before we get to those questions, and we've had a few come in so far, and I have written down several here also. Tamar, would you mind taking a minute or so to share about your home fellowship and how that helps you in your life?
Yes, thank you. Recently, we started an Al-Anon meeting. It's Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. on Zoom. And I'm just so grateful for it. It's the same big book message that I just shared with you in the softest, most gentle way and loving. It's a family, and it really just gives over the message of how to focus on yourself and how to create that positivity and spirituality and connection with God every single day. And if you guys want to show up, it's an open meeting. I can post the link in the chat.
Very good. Thank you so much, Tamar. And I will also take that link and put it in the show notes of the meeting if anybody else is interested in that. Thank you. All right. So now we have the opportunity to ask some questions and hear Tamar's answers to those questions. I've had a few come in, and I will start with the first one that came in. This is from Rebecca. Rebecca asks, how do you come up with actions behind column 5 solutions? My sponsees struggle to come up with actions. How do we teach them to go to their higher power for actions? And are there prompts to help propel us into a new line of thinking when it comes to 5th column actions?
Hey, that's a great question. So it's so subjective to each person, but I always send my sponsees my list. I call it my master list, and I send it out, and I really just try to guide them, and then we go over it as part of step 5. We go over that master list together and just think of more opportunities. And then as we're going through the step 5, in each situation, we talk about how are you going to have more humility? How are you going to be content? How are you going to be helpful? How are you going to do all these things? So I kind of guide them through it. But it's really just subjective with each person and each situation. really just figuring out how to change that, how to do the opposite of whatever you were doing.
Thank you, Tamar. I appreciate that. And if anybody is curious about your master list that you use, is that something you'd be willing to share? And I could get out to people who ask about that.
So mine is personal, like to all the things that I do. So it's kind of not general. I'm happy to talk to anybody and talk anyone through it. I can give my number out.
Okay, and we'll do that on a, if somebody emails me and says, "Hey, I'd like to talk to Tamar," we'll do it that way so that it's we maintain as much anonymity as possible here. But yeah, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
Okay, and next question comes in from Nico from our live audience. Nico says, "Thank you for a powerful share. I love the steps 4, 5, and 10 reflection solely on you. Can you tell us how you distinguish your voice from God's voice during your meditation?"
Yeah. So that's always a learned practice, meditation. And in the beginning, I did not have a voice of my own. So, really learning that was learning the feelings that I felt in my body. So, if I was kind of having a negative feeling, more of like a pit in my stomach, I would know that that's probably not good. And if I was having a light, airy feeling, I felt that was good. So really, it's just getting to know your body and getting to know, like, really just connecting with how you feel.
Thank you, Tamar. And then a follow up from Nico. What is a specific spiritual action in lieu of fear and rejection from others, whether the rejection or fear is in personal relationships or at work, say with clients?
Yeah. So I think my um, antonym for fear is faith. So having faith in yourself, having faith in God, that you're showing up as your best person, as your best self, to not be in that fear of rejection, but also really just caring for yourself, going deep inside of yourself and seeing why would somebody be rejecting me, or also understanding and having the confidence and love for yourself, knowing that it's okay if someone rejects you. You don't have to be loved by everybody. And it's okay if someone has the difference of opinions as you. But also praying for that person, praying for the situation.
Thank you. I appreciate those comments and suggestions there. All right. So one of the topics that you discussed, and I can't remember if you said these words, but to me, I interpreted it as emotional sobriety. How do you maintain it? What does it mean to you first, and how do you maintain it?
Yeah, so emotional sobriety to me looks like showing up as my best self and connecting with God every day. So I guess that's the way that I maintain it, is really asking myself, my one sentence, my go-to sentence is this helpful? And page 102 of the big book says, my job now is to be of maximum helpfulness to others. So am I being helpful to the situation, which doesn't mean that I put myself on the back burner and just helpful to others? Am I being helpful to the situation? So and then there's this little test that I do to know if I'm in God's will, is if it if I ask myself, is what I'm doing loving, unselfish, pure, and honest? And if I could say yes to all of those, then I know I'm following that spiritual path, and then I'm going to be emotionally sober. And the last thing I do is really anytime I take those fear thoughts or really any negative thoughts, course correcting. And that can be as simple as saying, come back to reality, pause, and doing the next right thing.
I love using the 4 absolutes as a guideline as to, am I in God's will or in my own will? Very good stuff. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, on that note of God, has your vision or definition or perception of God changed a lot since you started your walk in recovery? And if so, what did that look like previously, and what does that look like now?
Yes, that's definitely something I wanted to touch on, but the time went by so fast. um, Yes, completely different 180 of what my God used to look like versus what my God looks like now. I used to picture, I grew up religious, so I used to picture a man in the sky with a white beard. That was my God. And if I did something wrong, I was in trouble with God. And now what God looks like to me is just connection, is all of those God's will things that we talked about, is loving, tolerant, understanding, meaning that even if I do have my ups and downs, my God's still loving, my God's still tolerant, and I see God in everything. But the main thing that was different for me is that I see God in people too. So it's more of like an energy, and it's not just in one area in the sky. Have God everywhere.
Love it. Thank you for sharing that. Another question that I wrote down here, and a reminder to our live audience, if you have a question, type it in the Q&A link there at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to it and ask that. You mentioned a daily task list during your share. Can you give an example of what a daily task list may look like to you?
Yeah, so for me, it's anything I need to do, including, and I also use reminders on my phone so I don't forget certain things, but even just send this person a text back. I don't have things like brush my teeth and eat breakfast, but I really go deep into, okay, what do I need to do today? And I'm not perfect about making a list every day, but when I do, it's just what do I need to do to be the best version of myself today? And sometimes that is being kind to somebody or apologizing to somebody. And then other times it's really just getting things done. And that's my background on my computer. It's get SHIT done.
Awesome. I love that. It's a constant reminder that, hey, well, I think that harkens back to do the next right thing, the next good thing, right? Just get it done.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. All right. So you talked a little bit about your vision of yourself and how how you had no idea who you were and couldn't look yourself in the mirror because there wasn't a you that was constant at that point. Was there a specific moment in time in your walk in recovery or in life where all of a sudden that vision of yourself became much more clear and all of a sudden you looked in the mirror and you go, there you are, me? Is there a specific moment like that?
Yes, actually. This is right before I started working the Big Book program, right before my little break, where I really it was during COVID time, so had lots of time to be alone. And I looked in the mirror and I couldn't look at my eyes. And I just started crying and I couldn't look. I didn't know what I was looking at. And so many times, you speak to somebody and you're looking straight in their eyes, but I look in the mirror 100 times a day. I don't leave my house without looking in the mirror, but I'm not looking at myself. I'm looking at my body. Do I look good? Okay, I can leave now. Check as just another thing. But that's something that one of the tools I use to really connect with myself. And I also give that as an assignment to anybody who asks me how they can connect with themselves. Really just looking in the mirror and writing down what thoughts come, what feelings come, and connecting with yourself the same way someone else would connect with you.
Now, what if I'm looking in the mirror and writing down the thoughts that come and they are all negative and hateful and everything? How do you move through that?
So honestly, they were in the beginning, and that's why I couldn't look. And it gets better. First of all, I was working my program right after that. So I think that really helped me. But also, really just, I think the shock for me of realizing how negative I was thinking about myself, that was my turning point because I was thinking, wait 1 second, actually I'm pretty cool. I do X, Y, and Z, and I really love this about myself. Why would I write that down? Well, nobody else thinks that about me. Why do I think that? So yeah, that was a turning point. And also all that chaos and turmoil in my head, all that noise never allowed me to have that that connection and to have that voice, I used people outside like, oh, should I send that text? Should I go there? Do you want to come with me? I would never go somewhere by myself. So all of that really, like during COVID, it really slowed me down to be able to really look at what do other people see from me, but what do I see? And then switch that into positive.
Awesome. I really, really appreciate that. And I think so. You mentioned a phrase earlier in your talk, and I've heard it said, I fired the old God and hired a new God. And you said, I fired myself and hired God. Is there a difference in the way that I've heard it before and what you say, or is it the same statement?
So the way that I look at it is that I was playing God. I was controlling everyone around me. I was controlling my actions, my thoughts, and I was not willing to let go and give it to God, because if I felt like I let go, then I would just fall into the water and drown. I would just die. So I really was just holding on as playing God.
Yeah, and at least speaking for myself, I make a pretty crappy God. So I totally get that realization, even though it's really fearful to say, if I just let go of myself and trust in a higher power out there, my life will be so much better, because it's a hard thing to realize. I have one more question, and if there's any other questions from the audience, now is the time to ask that before we wrap up. We're going to wrap up here in just a minute. But my one more question, you mentioned something that really jumped out at me, and I'm so grateful that I get the chance to ask this question. And it's in your court if you are willing to answer it, and if not, I'm totally okay with it. But you mentioned about your resentment prayer miracle. You said it was your biggest resentment, and by praying for that person, miraculously it worked. Are you willing to share general details about that situation and how you came through it and what miracles happened in that?
Yeah, 100%. So I guess the background, the resentment that I had was just somebody who I felt, and of course, this is my perception, someone who I felt who tried to harm me on purpose. Um, and, like a little bit of a torment situation. So for me, it was really hard to understand why somebody would intentionally hurt another person. So really, my first prayer, I would like to read, if it's okay, the page 552, just the beginning, where it says, if you have a resentment you would want to be free of, if you will pray for the person or the thing that you resent, you will be free. If you will ask in prayer for everything you want for yourself to be given to them, you will be free. Ask for their health, their prosperity, their happiness, and you will be free. Even when you don't really want it for them and your prayers are only words and you don't mean it, go ahead and do it anyway. Do it every day for 2 weeks, and you will find that you have come to mean it and you want it for them. And you will realize that where you used to feel bitterness and resentment and hatred, you will now feel compassion, understanding, and love. And then later down the page, it says, sometimes I have to first ask for the willingness. So for me, I was so ready to get rid of that resentment that I didn't even want to pray for the willingness. I was just praying. And my first prayer, everyone can make fun of me. My first prayer was, God, please make it that they understand that they hurt me. That was not anything of what the page told me to pray about. Not even a little bit. But I started praying every day. And then I saw this person as somebody who's unable to show up as a supportive person, a loving person, somebody. And if they feel the hurt inside of them so much, the saying, hurt people hurt people. If they feel the hurt so much that they can hurt another person who never hurt them first or back, then they obviously need my prayers. And my prayers ended up being that I hope that this person doesn't treat anyone else the way that I felt, and doesn't make anyone else feel that way, and that they're able to come to a place where they have peace inside of them, where they don't feel the need to hurt other people. So, and I really do pray that they have a good, amazing life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that experience. I think that can be very helpful to very many. All right. Before we wrap up, Tamar, do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us?
No, I just want to say thank you again. This has been an amazing experience. And for anybody who's listening who wants to do one, this is a really good way to get out of your comfort zone and really share your story, because we can all benefit from everyone's story, even if you think we can't. We could.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I'll follow up on that invitation. Yeah, if you want to be a guest speaker, or if you just want to get invitations to attend these meetings, we hold them weekly. We have great, powerful speakers from so many fellowships, so many addictions, so many backgrounds that just share the similarities of addiction and the hope that comes from working the steps of recovery. Join in. You can join in, get on that email list by going to rico12.com. That's RECO12.com, and getting on the list so you can get those invitations. And if you want to join as a speaker there at Rico 12, there is a speaker link that you can fill out to be a future speaker. Right now, we're booking into October of this year, which is awesome. I'm so grateful that so many people are willing to share their experience, strength, and hope in this live Zoom meeting each week. All right. So thank you so much, Tamar. Fantastic meeting. If I'm going to jump down here a little bit, I invite the audience to come back next week. Next week, we will actually be doing another recording that has already been done for next week's meeting. So in 2 weeks, come on back. Our live meeting, Marcus B. will be our guest speaker then, and it will be a fantastic one. Come back next week. And if you like, once again, if you'd like to be a guest speaker, let me know through the website. Now, Tamar has offered to launch us off into the rest of our day with the Serenity Prayer. Go ahead and do that, Tamar.
God, grant me the serenity, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Amen. Thank you, Tamar. Everybody keep coming back. It works when I work it, so work it. You are worth it.
Standing still a moment, carving out this time, reflecting on the landscape of this life of mine. Peaks too high to conquer, streams too wide to cross, troughs too deep to walk through without incurring loss. Yet here I am, still standing tall, despite the rough terrain. One like me survived the storms and walked through wind and rain. Still standing, I will fight the good fight, still searching